rancher is not backing down. His war with the federal government is far from over. Meet Cliven Bundy, cattle rancher and range warrior.
I guess it's a range war, that's all I can say.
Bundy is the last cattle rancher in southern Nevada. And now he is at the center of a political firestorm. An American cowboy taking on the federal government. Nevada rancher Cliven Bundy threatening to launch a range war after the government sent snipers and helicopters to seize his cattle. Meet the government agent saying that Bundy owes more than $1 million in unpaid grazing fees and taking drastic measures to get him to pay. Using helicopters to round up cattle